Welcome to Operation Take Up Space, y'all. All right. So we anticipate these next 4 years to just be utter chaos, right? It's going to be lots of uncertainty. We don't necessarily know what's to come, but we know it's going to be a shit show, and you might find yourself screaming into the abyss right now. But what I need you to know is that it's important for us to come together, to support one another, and to take collective action. Okay. So this entire spiel here, this entire podcast, or whatever you're watching, is going to be about what we do, how we do it, and how we move forward. So this is not the time to retreat into the shadows or to shy away from your power. This is the time to step into your authenticity and unapologetically speak your truth. So when oppression knocks at the door, what we have seen is that our previous civil rights leaders, they answered the call. From Ghandi, Nelson Mandela, Dr. King, Archbishop Desmun Tutu, the Dali Lama, and many, many others. They have all taken grounded action. They have set boundaries and ensured that their voices and the voices of those that they advocated for were heard. They stood up, they stood strong, and they took up space. And so now we are going to humbly follow in their footsteps as we rise and stand on the shoulders of those that have come before us and take collective action together. So this is what the next 4 years of a Trump presidency is going to look like. Understanding many have been reeling over the last week or so. I know I have. So I want to take a moment and just understand how we got here. Now, this is tough to unpack, and we've already seen a bunch of people placing blame here, placing blame there, and it can be kind of easy to quote unquote throw the baby out with the bathwater here, or put folks into categories like racists, homophobes, misogynists. But in an effort to kind of just move the conversation forward a bit and to not kind of dwell on this too long, we're going to just zoom out. Because there's one thing that's true across the board for basically everybody who voted for Trump. And that is that they are a group of people that felt like they were not being heard. And they believed that Trump would hear them. Okay. And they believed that he would make their lives better. Now, many of them are going to learn very quickly that that's not going to be the case, right? And if Trump follows through on his proposed policies, we're going to see the costs of goods increasing. Grocery prices will not be going down. We're already seeing some businesses initiate like hiring freezes. They're pausing promotions, canceling holiday bonuses as they prepare for the costs of their goods and operating expenses to rise. So that's the landscape. And part of the appeal, right, that some of these people were voting for Trump in such droves is there is a authenticity about Trump, okay? Whether you like him or you don't, and I certainly don't, he is his most authentic self. And every person at their core is trying to become their most authentic self. So that, you really have to understand that as we're moving forward, whether you like him or hate him. And if you're watching me, you probably hate him. He was elected in large part based off his authenticity to be the person that he is, right? So once you understand that, it can kind of help better shape your role in the process as we're moving forward, okay? We're going to beat him at his own game, so to speak. So I want to be very, very clear that it's not your job to go after the people that voted for Trump to explain your point of view. Right now, many of those folks are not in a position to listen to what you have to say. So, all right, so since that's not going to work, what we need to do now is take a very, very hard look within. We need to start taking an inventory of our limiting beliefs. So of all of the variables right now, you have to be able to identify the ones that you actually have control over. And likely that list is a short one. So what are the things that you could actually work on at this point? And so I've been in the business of advocacy for the last couple of decades, and there's one thing that I know that holds true, And you can only change the world by changing yourself. And and come on, did we not see that with Donald Trump, right? He wasn't trying to change nobody. He was just being that he is. All right. But look at the impact and the ripple effects that he has made. So as we're starting to look inward and we're starting to look at our limiting beliefs, what are those? What would I have to believe in order to feel this way? So let's say, for example, some of your limiting beliefs might be maybe you're feeling sad, dejected, demoralized, scared, you're afraid. What would you have to believe to be true in order to feel this way? So for many, you would have to believe that if you're afraid or scared, you would feel that way perhaps because maybe the limiting belief is that you are not powerful and that you are not strong and maybe you're not allowed to take up space. You may also feel like you're not loved or not supported or even worthy of such things. So the compounded effects of these limiting beliefs creates a cycle that keeps us in this weakened state of fear, frustration, and hopelessness. So if we're looking at Trump again, right? Like he doesn't seem to be afraid of anything, right? He is perfectly happy taking up as much space as he wants, right? He says whatever he wants, does whatever he wants, and he believes himself to be powerful. So we have seen firsthand where that can take us. So if we start to take a really honest inventory of our limiting beliefs, we need to understand if we are feeling like we are not powerful, right? And that we are not allowed to take up space. All right, so we're taking that inventory, and as we're kind of going through now, the next thing I need you to start to think about is remembering who the fuck you are. All right? Now, as one can imagine, this is easier said than done, but if you're feeling powerless, then how can you step into your inner Wonder Woman? So I just want to say, like, I hear you, I see you. You know, you may be going through the stages of grief, rage, what have you. But again, I just want to take a moment and look at the landscape. What we are seeing is a rise in misogynistic behavior, with some men now behaving that they are now in control of a woman's bodies and they can do whatever they want, right? That's how they feel. And this is a very interesting social proposition, and I'll tell you why. When someone is trying to gain power, they've got to create a plan to squash those who might threaten their rise, okay? Now, here what we have seen is that overwhelmingly, many Trump supporters have taken aim, and Trump himself, at women, the LGBTQ plus community, immigrants, and other minority groups. Now, if those groups that the Trumpers have taken aim at had no worth and no power, there would be no reason to take aim at them. Okay, let's sit with that for a second. If these groups, the LGBTQ community, women, immigrants, and everybody else, if they were powerless, why even take aim at them? Why? Why wouldn't they spend their efforts elsewhere? Yet that's not the case. We're seeing them come directly for us, right? Trumpers' efforts are seated squarely on these groups in an effort to make them feel powerless and defeated. Thus, it's because we're being targeted that we know that we are powerful, okay? It's time to remember how powerful you really are. And so now we got to reclaim our power, all right? The more that you feel like you have a target on your back, the more you have to understand that this is a direct reflection of your power. So instead, perhaps, of letting things scare you into submission, use this energy to move you forward into becoming your best and most authentic self. What Trumpers are hoping that you will do is to accept that they have power over you. They are hoping that they can beat you down, that they can make you scared and keep you weak. That is their only move because they know that they are outgunned and that their days are numbered. Otherwise, why have such an aggressive strategy against these groups? Now, I know this doesn't sound easy, right? It's going to be uncomfortable. And like I said, you're probably feeling all the things right now. But I need you to understand that you are a powerful, powerful human. And the Trumpers are afraid of it. And the time to act is now, right? So as Brene Brown always says, first times suck. Guess what? It's going to suck. It already sucks. All right. But there's a lot of different ways that you can reclaim your power. And everybody is their own unique Rubik's Cube. Okay. So you are going to have to pick what works best for you and your circumstances. So what I do may not work for what you do, but you need to start figuring out what that recipe is, needs to go into your pot to make you perform at your best. But I must say, taking up space is a great place to start. So are you able to speak your truth? Are you able to use your voice? Are you able to live to the highest expression of yourself? Are you able to speak up at that meeting? Are you able to post to social media? Are you able to set firm and clear boundaries with others? Are you able to love and appreciate yourself so much and unapologetically stand with your head high as you grow into your most authentic self? I know that you fucking are. I know it. If you can even move that way incrementally, slowly towards that goal daily, the compounded effects of that will create an entirely new person with you. I'm asking you to commit to making yourself better, 1% better, 1% better every day. 1%. Over a year, you're going to be 365% better. And if you're not able to do 1% every day and you fail more than half of the time, you could still be 100% better by the end of the year. I need you to commit to making yourself better at 1% every day. The road ahead starts with you. All right, so now we're going to go into some ways to do that. And it's going to be a little brief. We're going to have other videos that go into these in a little bit more depth, but I'm just going to kind of touch on a couple of them now. So one of them is nourishing your body. Okay. So as we process trauma through the mind, we have to process it through the body. And so our nervous system is wired like branches of a tree. And when we experience a traumatic event, those branches get pruned. Now, traumatic events fall on a spectrum, right? They can be, smaller events. So like getting your wisdom teeth pulled is a traumatic event to the body. But I also make the joke that falling out of a perfectly good airplane is a traumatic event. Watching this election was a traumatic event. So there's a whole spectrum of traumatic events, and all of these leave an imprint on your body, and those branches get pruned. Now, those branches can regrow, and our body is uniquely designed to help facilitate that growth and healing. So there's a great book called The Body Keeps the Score by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. I'm dyslexic. Y'all can find it. But it dives deep into this process. And like I said, I'm going to have another presentation that dives into that more in detail. But in short, it is important to start prioritizing your body. This is your meat suit. This is what you're stuck in. You didn't get a choice on what meat suit you were given. This is it. All right. I need you to move. I need you to sweat, rinse, repeat. All right. You need to exercise, even if it's just for 20 minutes. You can walk, hike, yoga, lift weights, whatever. It doesn't matter. You need to start moving this body to help process all of this trauma that you're experiencing. And you need to dial into your nutrition, eat some nutritious foods and things that are nourishing to your body. Do not punish your body with sedentary behavior and foods that weigh you down. If you want to perform optimally, give your body a fighting chance, all right? And if you want to think more clearly so you can move into your power, one easy way to just biohack the system is you can start through the body. Right? And maybe it means just drinking more water at first, or adding one serving, eating a apple a day, or one extra serving of vegetables a day. Just starting where you're at to do something to say, I love you, body, and I'm going to do something nice for you today. Now, this does not mean starving yourself or working out so hard that you injure yourself or become exhausted. You don't have to cut out your favorite foods, but I just want you to make a conscious choice to love yourself enough to be kind to your body and to nourish it. All right. People tend to only change out of inspiration or desperation. And the one thing we've certainly learned from Trump's win is that the American public has not suffered enough. I always say that rock bottom is for everybody. And if you're suffering and you can't seem to make a change, then I tell people, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to need you to suffer just a little bit more. And in this way, you are presented with a choice. You can decide if you are ready to make a move or choose to stay where you are. So as an Army veteran, I always referred to the COVID pandemic as the civilians' deployment. Because the pandemic was hard for a lot of us, but I feel like service members like myself and veterans, we kind of had an edge. Like we were used to living in limiting conditions, not having access to, people, places, and things. And many of us had already lost an enormous amount of people, lost brothers and sisters in arms. So although we certainly didn't enjoy the pandemic, we were better prepared based off our previous experiences. But that being said, I think it would be wise for many of you to start thinking about these next 4 years as another deployment. So getting into the mindset that steady action must be taken every day to ensure that our democracy survives. This is go time, right? But then from here, it's like the question is how, right? So what's the plan? So, all right, here's the plan. Now, if you've ever read the book, The Starfish and the Spider by Ori Braffman and Rod Beckstorm, you'll immediately understand the approach that I'm taking here. But the premise of this book is that decentralized organizations that give a high degree of autonomy to their folks have the ability to be more resilient and adaptable and have greater chances of success. So in traditional hub and spoke models, there's too much focus on like the hub in the middle of that wheel. And this can delay information to the spokes and create bottlenecks if the hub doesn't react fast enough. So according to the book, a starfish approach helps create a more independence and allows the spokes more autonomy to make decisions and take action as needed. So they use the analogy of the starfish here because the starfish regrows its extremities once they've been cut off, thus allowing the entire organism to survive and to carry on. So it makes it much harder to kill the starfish, ensuring its longevity and success. So in this instance, in this plan, I'm creating what I would call a hybrid hub and spoke model that kind of guides us into being a starfish. All right, so now we're talking about building the starfish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose to you a couple of spokes that I think need to be added to this wheel to keep it turning. And then I'm going to open it up to you and to the group for feedback on these spokes and what kind of spokes you think that should be added. So then from there, we're going to identify maybe an owner or a hub of each spoke and create an action plan so that everybody can execute any spoke at any time as they wish. So the whole program is designed to be decentralized and to put the power back with the people, the power back with you, just creating the guide and some advice and support for the direction that we should be going. So these are the initial core spokes. All right. So this model is going to allow for flexibility and in innovation in the spokes while still benefiting from the central organizing structure. So the hub. So these are the initial spokes: finding your voice, taking up space, processing trauma, posting to social media, building partnerships, consistent, radical self-love, setting boundaries, making a plan, and being accountable. And we're going to kind of just go through these one by one. We're also going to have other videos that dive into them much deeper. So this is just a quick once through to better understand what each spoke is. All right. So the first one is finding your voice. So if you don't actually know who you are, it's going to be hard for you to navigate these waters as we're moving forward. You really need to be very, very clear. Who is that person inside of you that is locked and is trying to come out? How have you been hiding your light? What is truly on your heart? Can you give yourself permission to share your gifts with the world? I need you to rewrite your story and claim your freedom. All right. We've already talked about looking at those limiting self-beliefs, right? Those beliefs that say maybe you're not powerful, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that. This person inside you believes differently. This person inside of you knows how powerful you are, how smart you are, knows the gifts that you possess that you are trying to bring to the world. I need you to really dial into those and share them now. Share them like you have never shared them before. But you're gonna have to sit with yourself and journal and try to figure out what this looks like for you. Again, you are this blessed Rubik's Cube that you got to figure out what gifts that you have that need to be brought to the world. Next, the next spoke is taking up space. Okay. And so this can look different for a lot of people, but the idea is to create events for people to join, to have fellowship with other minority groups that might be usual targets of Trumpers. So taking up space, being out in public. You know, I'm in a rural red county and I run an LGBTQ resource center. So I'm painting the town gay. You know, so it's like creating events like here, like Beer with a Queer, or things like that to get folks to come out and just, you know, to wear as many rainbows and glitter as they can, and just to show that we are here, we deserve respect, we are worthy of love, and we're not going anywhere. So you can create an event like Stitch and Bitch, Stand Up Sunday, a Loud and Proud Walkout, Bold and Brown Coffee Hour, Rise and Resist, Melanin and Mimosas, Soulful Sundays. What sounds good to you? You got a book club? You got a video game group? Do you play D&D? What is it? How are you able to take up space? I would encourage folks who live in blue counties to focus taking up space in red counties. All right. And really like partnering with some of those red counties. Like if you're in a very, very blue county, you know, taking up space at your local bar or hosting a drag show is not that big of a deal. All right. But going to some of those red spaces, helping some of these other folks out that really need it the most, that's how you really take up space in a more effective way. You can buy apparel that shows your opinions and views. My body, my choice. Fuck Trump. Whatever it is, whatever you are comfortable with, allow perhaps your apparel to speak that for you. I need you to figure out how to be you in the most authentic way. And these are just some examples of ways that you can take up space. All right. Then the next thing we have to do is process our trauma. So I've been doing I've been doing advocacy work for quite a long time. And what I have found is, in my view, the reason that we haven't gotten as far as we've wanted in a lot of arenas is because that not enough folks have processed their trauma. So, for example, I work with sexual assault and domestic violence victims quite often. I've been doing this for more than 20 years, and particularly service members who've experienced sexual assault. And what I often find is, you know, they are very upset, right, that happened to them, as they should. But they are wanting to get back into the fight right away. And I use the analogy of getting like shot on the battlefield, right? Like if I got shot, I'm not going to be too happy about that. I'm going to want to be going back in to help my brothers and sisters. But I need to understand that I have been shot. Okay. And that I need to be dragged off the battlefield. I need to be triaged. I need to heal, maybe do some physical therapy, whatever it takes, and then come back. So I would encourage folks to do that. right? To get a therapist, to take care of your body, to establish a self-care routine, learn how to process that trauma through your body, learn how to do it with a clinician, learn how to do it in the way that most fits you in your unique situation. But you can't reasonably get back into the fight until you've started to address the stuff within. All right. All right, and the next spoke we have here is to post to social media. So you can take up space from anywhere. You can take it in public, or you can take it from what I call Fort Couch. You can speak your truth from right there. Decide what you're good at and what sparks the most inspiration from you, and talk about that. So like if you're going through all these spokes and you're looking at these spokes and you're like, well, I know a lot about processing trauma through the body. Why don't you just make some videos about that? Talk about your lived experience on how you were able to overcome X, because your map will help others to do the same. So what is it inside of you that you've already done? I know you've already done something. Can you share that? Can you take up some space? Can you be kind enough, generous enough, loving enough, bold enough to share what you know with others? Everybody is good at something. And so then as you're posting, we're going to use the hashtag, like hashtag Operation Take Up Space, hashtag your city and state. You can also hashtag city and states that are kind of nearby. So if you're in a larger metropolitan area, tag some other places. That way it makes it's easier for us to find, and others who want to take up space and to learn and to figure out how to navigate this post-Trump or the Trump presidency. And if you're leaning into a specific spoke, hashtag that spoke too. So that way folks can find you. All right. Make yourself easy to find. Put yourself out there. You are loved and you are powerful. Partnerships. So collaboration is key. All right. Is there a community leader that you can engage that can help advocate for an issue? Is there like a local business that you could partner with to maybe even host a fundraiser for a local nonprofit that supports a marginalized group, right? There are things that you could action and collaborations that you could make exactly where you are. Is there even a church group that you can talk to about the importance of holding space and giving love and support to those who are negatively impacted by Trump and his policies? Now, I know that might seem like a far-fetched one, but during the first Trump presidency, I remember that I was part of a kind of like an underground railroad group. There was a Catholic priest at a parish in my state who was coordinating meals and supplies for immigrants. So we would meet at different places where he had some intel to know where they would be moving to and located, and we would show up with medicine, supplies, clothes, because they would have nothing other than the clothes on their back. So you're going to be surprised where some of these partnerships lie, because I tend to get a lot of death threats from Christians. Being in the LGBTQ community, particularly in a red county, they don't like us too much, but there are some Christians, right, such as this Catholic priest that's out there doing the hard work and helping others. So you're going to be surprised where some of those are, but keep looking, right? See what you can find. Don't necessarily count anybody out. Keep an eye out, connect the dots, and keep your eyes open. The other thing is, you may or may not have to collaborate with like local law enforcement or other government agencies. And some of these may, like maybe in red counties, I see it in North Carolina all the time, that they may be hostile towards you. We've got a sheriff in North Carolina here that openly said that he won't be supporting anybody who voted Democrat, right? It's just like, what a time to be alive. But what I need you to do is to document everything. So if you're able to have it in an email, if you're able to video record it, record your experience, post it to social media, send it to your local news station. Keep records, hold people accountable, and take up space. This is Operation Take Up Space. You can do this. I believe in you. You are powerful. Drop those limiting beliefs. Don't be scared. This is a deployment. It's going to be scary. I mean, I say don't be scared. It's going to be scary. But do it anyway. Okay? It's going to be scary, but do it anyway. All right. The next spoke is consistent, radical self-love. Now, there's going to be enough demons running around the world today. Don't let the demons inside your head be the ones that take you down. I need you to commit to taking care of yourself and putting yourself first for these next 4 years. I need you to be speaking kindly to yourself and to your body. There may be things that you don't like about yourself and about your body, but I need you to forget all of those for the next 4 years. I need you to wipe the chalkboard clean, because I need you to be performing at your best, and I cannot have you performing at your best while you're talking shit about yourself. So my partner, when I see him getting into a loop where he's like a self-deprecating loop, what I tell him is, I don't like the way that you're treating my friend. You know, and I've got some staff that do that too. And I tell them that too. And I was like, if I had another staff member that was treating you the way that you're treating you, I would have fired them so fast. So fast. So if you're having trouble giving yourself that radical self-love, sometimes what I tell people is, think about the person that you care about the most, and maybe start treating yourself the way that person would treat you, or how you would treat that person. You got to start where you're at, but I need you to move in that direction. Again, even if it's only 1%, 1%, move in that direction. All right, another spoke here is to set boundaries. All right, like you do not have to tolerate being treated poorly, being gaslit, or abused. All right, you cannot control other people's actions, but you can control your response to them. So what I need you to be doing right now is not trying to change people. All right, what did I say earlier? You cannot change the world unless you can change yourself. We're looking at ourselves. I need you to work on yourself. If you want to make any kind of moves, I need you to work on yourself. I need you to work on yourself. I need you to understand the list of the things that you can control, which is very, very small. And you cannot control people's comments. You cannot control people's actions, but you can sure as hell control your response to them. So what is, just real quickly on setting boundaries, what does that look like? So for some, that you might be telling the person, when you did X, I felt Y. You're not asking a question. You're not saying, why did you do this? You're just saying, no, when you did this, I felt that. And then you watch. And then you watch to see what their response is, right? Do they say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that you felt that way? And are they trying to take actions to change, or are they just completely dismissive of how you feel? Their actions are going to tell you how they feel. So from there, you can maybe put in a request that they change their behavior, but you don't have to. Each situation is unique, so setting a boundary may not even be communicating with that person at all. You may not be telling them how you feel. You're going to have to pick the best strategy that is specific to your situation. You just may be changing your actions without putting them on notice at all. But everyone is in charge of their own healing, and removing some folks from your circle may be what you need, but it may also be what they need to finally understand the damage that they have caused. So they're in charge of their own healing. Don't co-regulate them. Don't regulate their emotions. Don't take away their opportunity to learn how to heal themselves. And you setting that boundary could very well be giving them that opportunity to do so. Remember when I said that, people only change out of inspiration or desperation, and a lot of people just haven't suffered enough? Let them suffer enough. You don't have to worry about how your boundary is going to negatively impact them. Okay? Maybe they need to hit their rock bottom. All right? Don't worry about them. You can release them with love, but you can stand firm on your boundary, loving yourself and taking up space and moving on. All right. Next thing is we got to make a plan and be accountable. All right. I need you to really make a plan. I need you to write it down. I need you to create a daily routine, something that works for you. The routine can be really, really simple too. So like one of the things that I do the second I open my eyes in the morning, I already know the day is going to be a shit show, but before I let my feet hit the ground, I sit in bed and I think about things that I can be grateful for. I am spending as long as it takes, but you could just do this very briefly. What could you be grateful for? And I get in that mindset every day before I start my day. And I end my day that same way. If you're able to do that throughout the day, even better. But everybody has got 5 minutes at the beginning of the day and 5 minutes at the end of the day to think about some things that make them happy. All right. And that show some gratitude, some appreciation, even when the world's falling apart. Like, hey, my heart's still beating. Thank you, heart. Thank you, lungs. Thank you. Thank you for working today. I didn't ask my heart to pump blood to my body. I didn't ask my lungs to breathe. They just do it. They do it without my permission and without me asking. They just do it. They know what they need to do. And I thank them for it. Thank you, kidneys. Thank you, liver. Thank you, legs. Thank you, eyes. They are working hard and they are doing the job so that way I can do the job. So figuring out what your routine looks like. Maybe you're eating healthy meals. Maybe you're journaling. Maybe you're screaming into the abyss. Maybe you're exercising. Maybe you're meditating. But you are creating a plan. Maybe your plan is to post to social media once a day, once a day. Or maybe it's like once a week. But what is your plan? Maybe are you setting up an event, let's say once a month? Are you trying to collaborate with a partner once a quarter? What are your goals? And then start to make a plan to move towards them. Who are the people? And then who are my accountability partners? All right. Who can I talk to about my plan to hold me accountable? It could be a friend, could be a spouse. Now, sometimes I understand that it's hard to get an accountability partner, and maybe if you're very introverted, that's kind of not your jam. But is there a way to hold yourself accountable? Can you make a checklist? Can you say, okay, I want to have these completed in 3 months. I want to have these completed in 6. I want to have these completed by the end of the week. What kind of ways can you hold yourself accountable if you are your own accountability partner? And then I really need you to start to celebrate these smaller victories, right? Again, like I would say not to make the plan too aggressive, but if you do make a very aggressive plan, maybe just give yourself more time to complete it, right? So sometimes I see folks, they've got a plan that they think they could execute in a month, but it's really a 6-month plan. So just giving yourself some grace. Are you making a 1% improvement on that plan every day? 1% every day. Every day. This is going to add up. The compounded effects of this are going to be exponential. There is no upper limit to what you can do. So we're looking at the compounded effects of this plan. You're taking the first step, you're loving yourself, and you're going to continue to keep going. So as we kind of move down, we're going to be adding more spokes. And as you can see, as we add more spokes, we just continue to get stronger, right? The more spokes, the more ideas, the more people that are a part of this plan, the stronger it becomes. So this is my proposed initial spokes, but what are yours? What kind of input do you have? Even if you're not able to reach me, please reach out. But if you're not able to reach me directly, just start your own damn spoke. Start your own damn spoke. Hashtag it and keep it moving, right? So we're trying to keep this as decentralized as possible. We're keeping it a little centralized to start, just to kind of make sure that we're refining this into the best way that we can. But the idea is to plug and play and move, right? Now, I've got like about 8 or 9 spokes that I've talked about. Now, you don't have to do all of the spokes. All right. So you can pick the ones that speak to you most and leave the rest. Or maybe you do like half of them and then you do a couple others and you kind of pick and play. That's okay. It's designed that way. But if we're all working as a group on those spokes, we will be unstoppable. All right. So now this has really been meant to be like an introduction onto where we are at and where we are going. And I'm going to be creating more in-depth videos on each spoke to help answer some more questions and give like some greater clarity. But this doesn't mean that This doesn't have to stop you from taking action now. All right, you already have your gifts, so just share them with the world. Give yourself permission to share them with the world. Take up space, live to the fullest expression of yourself, and do it unapologetically. I see you, I believe in you, and I stand with you. Together, we can be the change we seek in the world. And it starts with us. Operation Take Up Space in full effect.